Sources close to the investigation, Susan, have told NBC News that federal agents are focusing, in fact, on the relationship between you and Mitchell Sinclair, the man that you were going to visit that night, the man you said you were going to visit with your children. They've told NBC that there were inconsistencies in your stories. Do you know what inconsistencies they were referring to?
No, ma'am, I really do not know that.
All right. Chase, what do you got?
Yeah, we see her stop herself from smiling here, which is pretty unusual. And I'm just going to leave that to you guys to walk through and kind of dissect. There is some pucker, some lip compression. There's licking. There's lip retraction going on here, which suggests all kinds of crap. You guys can dissect that too. But one thing I really want to pick on is watch her blink rate from before she hears the word relationship, when she actually learns what the question is about, and watch the change in blink rate before the word relationship and then after the word relationship. And you will see a perfect example of what we always talk about. And there's also some hesitancy here. There's this qualifier where she uses the word really in the middle of her denial. There's a non-contraction, but please keep in mind, we just saw an example of her most likely being truthful with a non-contraction. And there's also some double access to internal dialogue to craft an answer. And that would mean that there's accessing to internal dialogue, remaking eye contact, and then going back down again in quick succession, which is also a pretty large red flag. And we know this is deceptive already, so I'll give my answer at 100%. How about that? Scott, what do you think?
All right. I thought when she said, do you know what inconsistencies were made or whatever, I thought she was going to say, do you know what inconsistencies means?
Yeah.
Hand to God. And I laughed so hard after that because I thought she was talking down to her. Anyway, at the top, we see her lips. You're right, Chase. We see lip pursing. We see retraction. We see all kinds of things in there because what she's talking about, it's catching her a little bit off guard because she brings up the guy she's seeing. She want to hear about that, but at the same right before that, she says something that makes her makes her feel like that's okay because she smiles at that point. It's not duping delight because at that point she's not saying anything where she's duping anybody. But there's a whole lot going on there. So, and especially when she gets back to the part about the guy she's going to see. Watch there, because we see full on a lip pursing there, and that indicates that that person is doesn't agree with what's being said, and she sees it as a threat. Also, when you see her eyes darting around, that indicates the person is going through and processing the threat, processing whatever's being said, and getting ready to as they structure their answer for that threat. That's what we're looking at there. That's all I got on that one. Greg, what do you got?
Yeah, that eye movement can mean that she is processing information. It can also mean that she is looking for an answer to something that she doesn't have. I mean, she's prepared for all this stuff, and she's probably got something she wants to say. There's also a high likelihood in her case that she can't hold a thought long enough to answer that question, because if you watch how she behaves, she rambles and does whatever and then throws out something. Here's what's interesting. She's a low horsepower romancer, because most romancers, when they look at you, they make really good eye contact. She'll say something and make really quick eye contact and then break away again. Probably something that's a learned behavior. She was in an abusive childhood and that kind of thing. So there's probably some of that, not making really solid eye contact. But that actual smile that she tries to hide is when she's thinking about this relationship or something comes up, and then she breaks eye contact and does that tongue jut again. Is she going into memory? Is there something going on? Because then her blink rate goes through the roof, her breathing goes up, and she does that nervous confirming nod about the guy. So it makes me think she's got some kind of positive thing going on in her head about the guy, but then realizes, that was the wrong thing to do. Makes quick eye contact and does the nod. She does the mouth grooming, and when she says, "No, ma'am," her brows flash. We only see this eyebrow flash when she is doing something that's negative so far, as I can tell. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, so I agree. There is a complexity of emotions happening here, which she hasn't rehearsed for delivering or controlling in any way. So I think this idea of the boyfriend that comes up, and there's a real emotion that comes with that, and she doesn't know what to do with that, and she suppresses that delight. And it would be so easy to see that as Duper's delight. But Scott, you're absolutely right. This is not Duper's delight, because it's the suppression of a real feeling of her imagining her boyfriend. And she hadn't prepared for this question in any way. So there's this huge kind of collision. In many ways, this is her being very real with us, because she's not good, when not rehearsed, of being simple enough and controlling her feelings. So we get that suppression of delight, and then she lets it out. She hasn't fully managed to suppress it. We get the lip lick. There's a lot of swallowing goes on there. Non-contractions, polite as well. So some elements that we've seen before. I think that's all I have to say about that one.
Sources close to the investigation, Susan, have told NBC News that federal agents are focusing, in fact, on the relationship between you and Mitchell Sinclair, the man that you were going to visit that night, the man you said you were going to visit with your children. They've told NBC that there were inconsistencies in your stories. Do you know what inconsistencies they were referring to?
No, ma'am, I really do not know that.
Okay. That's good. If you like this video, get the full body language breakdown and analysis on our main channel by clicking this video right here.